In this video, we're going to talk about how Kanban applies to portfolio management. Now let me set this up for you for a moment. Imagine you're at the Olympic Games watching the 4x400 relay race. While one runner carries the baton around the track, the other 3 runners stand around waiting. If we ran the relay race like most of us run our businesses, it would look very different. Each of the idle runners would be running 3 other races, ensuring that they always have something to do. But each of those races don't start at exactly the same time, and each of the legs aren't run with exactly the same speed. In this scenario, it's the baton that's waiting for the runners, who are busy and probably exhausted from running the other races. As a result, all 4 races get slower, much slower. To do this successfully requires limiting the amount of work in process. For example, if there are 37 races underway and each runner is involved in multiple races, then asking everyone to focus on the baton doesn't help much. It's a painful process, but you'll have to limit how many batons you have in motion at one time. This is where Portfolio Kanban comes in. A portfolio is a related group of initiatives or activities or projects that need to be monitored together for an overall picture of how that group is performing as a whole. A portfolio needs an intake system that qualifies the work to be done and provides a clear set of priorities based on our business value and our enterprise strategy. Let's discuss 3 strategies to help you maintain business flow and prioritize the right work, or batons if you will, for your organization. Start with visibility. In any business, much of the work is invisible. You can't walk through the office and see the work piling up, as most of it is knowledge-based, stored in people's heads or on a computer somewhere. So the first step to focusing on flow is to make the work visible. The easiest way to do this is with a visual Kanban board. Cards represent the work moving through the system, and the lanes on the board represent the value-added steps that the work goes through. Here's a simple example of a Portfolio Kanban board. As you see here, we have several different process activities or lanes so we can see how portfolio work is moving throughout the organization. We have an ideas area where ideas can come from anywhere, whether they are from teams, leaders, or business people. But we want to make sure each is qualified, so we have a business case step. We want to make sure there is an owner for each of these different items so they can be seen through to completion. Now we might find that some are rejected, and that's okay. Let's look at which ones are actually qualified and will provide the right amount of business value to move it forward so we can have the next step, a tech assessment. In this, we'll pull some of our technical leaders and SMEs to make sure we have the right amount of knowledge around whether something is feasible, whether it's doable within our timeframes, or whether we even have the right skill sets to perform that work. Once it's committed, now we can actually prioritize it for teams to get done. Now remember, this is a pull system. If the teams are already working on projects, don't push more work in. Allow them to finish what they've started. Then they can pull that in and it moves to in progress. Now we can monitor the work of the team's boards or is flowing regularly and we can check in. On this board, we only need to know that it is actually being worked on and progress is being made. But then there may be a verification step before it actually moves to production and the business value is delivered. Now the second strategy around implementing our Portfolio Kanban system is to limit our work in process. To improve the flow of work through your business, you can experiment with actions like automating repetitive tasks or removing unnecessary process steps. But as a leader, one thing above all deserves your time and attention, and it's a job only you can do. You must limit how many things your business takes on. Otherwise, you risk overburdening your organization. If you don't limit work in process, you're sacrificing your people, your most valuable asset, on the altar of busyness. When there's too much work clogging the system, the people working in that system are not able to deliver their best work. Context switching, multitasking, and work sitting around waiting for resource availability all combine to cripple productivity, output, and even motivation. Now the final step of implementing our Portfolio Kanban system is to cultivate a lean culture. Creating a sustainable business flow requires cultural change. A lifetime of working in organizations that reward business and hard work results in many bad work habits that employees won't be able to break on their own. The temptation to get started on something or show progress is overwhelming. Limiting WIP is hard to do. But if you acknowledge that business and its people have a limited capacity, you must make the hard decisions about what to take on and what not to. Your task as a leader is to create the necessary cultural shift to value delivery and flow over busyness and efficiency. Managing a portfolio utilizing lean and Kanban practices is one of the most value-added improvements an organization can do. It's also one of the most difficult things to do, as it requires a shift in mindsets, a shared agreement among leaders on how work will flow, and a commitment to not breaking the process. I hope you can internalize these ideas and implement those that will solve some of your immediate problems and make a difference for your organization.